But I guess, to give somebody something tangible to cling on to while we're talking about this concept of finding space. The one that connected to me very quickly was my meditation teacher, David G, just said, just watch your breath for a moment. So you're just noticing yourself breathe gently in and out. And then he said, you'll notice there's a little gap between your in-breath and your out-breath. And then there's another one between your out-breath and the next time you breathe in. Now, they're tiny little slivers of humble space. I had never noticed them before. Most people would never go, hey, Tony, there's a gap between my breaths. And you're not, we're just getting on with it.
Yeah.
And breathing, I think why it's so profound a lot of the time is because it's literally keeping us alive. It's the number one thing that we cannot do without. If we stop breathing, we stop living.
Gone.
And we never think about it. You just get up in the morning, what have I got to do? And this little miracle is happening, just like an engine just ticking over the whole time. And it's like when we sit into our car, what am I doing today? Reversing out of the driveway, you're off to work. The day that car doesn't start, you're like, oh, what? You're like, I took it for granted. My engine just started, So when I started to notice these little slivers of, wow, there's a little space there. Oh, and there's another one. There's another one. And there's another one. And you think, God, how many of these little gaps? If I added all those little gaps up between my breaths over a year, that's a lot of space, I wonder what other little spaces can I notice? So then you find yourself in a conversation and you're like, do you know what? I'm not going to talk. I'm not going to just feel the urge to fill space here. I'm going to listen to this person here. And then you realize by talking less in a conversation and listening, there's more space, and the person you're talking to is now feeling really listened to. And you're like, okay, there's some pockets of space, and I think that's just magical because then it starts, I see it like a zebra crossing. Sometimes we can be looking at, say, the black stripes of busyness and that's all we see. But then there's all these white ones side by side. So maybe that's a simplistic little analogy. But I still have to work at shifting my focus into that if I feel like, I've got lots to do. But just having lots to do doesn't mean that we have to lose sight of the space and the little connections and all those things that actually make life wholesome and fun.
That's it, wholesome and fun, isn't it? And it's nearly, it brings me back, because I do want to chat about anxiety before we go into the busy and wreck stuff as well. But it's like the opposite of those spaces and the breadth that you're talking about there is nearly that inner chatter in the voice. And I found myself, as you were talking there, I found myself, oh, I'll say that. Oh, I'll go down that thread. And I'm thinking and I'm not truly listening. But all of a sudden you really honed me in there, like listening to that conversation. And I just sort of let go of all that and just really listen. And I just felt my nervous system being calmed down. But it's really like that inner critic, that judgments, that self-talk, negative self-talk, that's just a massive struggle that many people really find challenging. Was that part of your anxiety? I don't like to say your anxiety. I that was a problem. I owned my anxiety. It was my anxiety, worse than everyone else. But the anxiety that you experienced, I have a couple of questions here. Was an inner critic or an inner voice part of that? But I've heard you speak about anxiety before, and you're a performer. You go on stage. You're nearly tempting panic attacks and anxiety. That's what you've done. But what I've found with anxiety, my mom had said it to me in the past, you were a very happy kid as well. And I think people either think you're anxious or you're happy, but they live together. And you were like anxious, but a performer, putting yourself out there on the stage. Where do you stand on that?
I think there's so many performers and people who work in media. Radio's full of them as well. People who go, hey, I'm the guy behind the mic, rah, rah. And then you meet them, at the kettle and they can't talk to you,
Wow, yeah.
So I think it's a weird juxtaposition, but they, like you say, they live side by side, like kind of weird neighbors. The desire to get up in front of a crowd, which is consistently number one of people's greatest fears, above dying, is public speaking.
It's crazy.
And yet, the next door neighbor is an introvert, oh Jesus, this is the worst thing that I could possibly imagine doing because I'm anxious about that. So this is that kind of little, that weird little relationship. And I don't know. I think most performers just feel like it's in them from an early age. They just need to be up. This is why a lot of performers are altar boys early in life.
I heard you talk about
Yeah.
that before. I was an altar boy, and the first thing I had to do was ring the bell at a certain time, and I was traumatized that I'd get that wrong. But
Well, the bell ringing is essentially like lead guitar. Like
Is it?
Yeah, that's the role everybody wants.
Yeah.
It's like Slash. You're Slash in a robe.
Yeah.
And yeah, but there's a certain twist of the wrist you have to give to those ones with, the big ones
Yeah.
that you see in important churches. And if you foolishly waggled it from side to side like you would a normal bell, nothing would happen. So, every altar boy has that anxiety dream of ringing the bell and then nothing happens. So you had to give it a twist, and that made it ring properly. Yeah.
Right.
So that was the lead guitar moment.